media guy. I don't want to have all those platforms, and be online all the time. So I thought, okay, Instagram is enough.
It is. I think it is enough.
Yeah.
And you can connect your Instagram with Facebook for some posts. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it's important too. So let me see here. I already shared something, so I think we're fine now.
Cool.
Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, I think social media consumes a lot of your time right now, and our time. It's crazy.
It consumes time, and you know what? It doesn't make me happy because, especially during the last months, maybe because of the virus, but people have been spending way too much time online, and I feel like they just spend their time fighting, posting like super negative stuff, and it just makes me really unhappy, So I really got to control my online environment. So that's why I just left it, because too much negative stuff that people post, it was just too much for me.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to manage, how you think about your post. Maybe you sometimes think about how many people is going to give likes to this post and how many comments, and you're thinking too much about it, and you're not so worried about your craft sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that's also something that we need to change soon. I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for a few years I was like that, posting a lot because I wanted really to break into the industry. But now, as time passes by, I actually think I would prefer to have like kind of a more laid back kind of life. I don't want to be too visible online, I kind of like my privacy and being like not too visible, I guess. That's just more me, I guess. It's more my personality in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen that. Maybe I have told you before. I thought you were like super visible in internet. When I saw the capsule corp that you created.
Yeah,
it was like super crazy and super good.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I think that was one of your first like personal work that was super popular, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It probably still is my most popular because it reaches such a big audience outside of the art community, because so many people love Dragon Ball Z. So I see it all the time everywhere. People tag me on it like almost every week on Instagram. It's kind of funny.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, I guess it went sort of viral, not too much, but a little bit. So it's kind of funny.
You did a really big impact. It was like maybe 2015? 15.
It was 2015, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I met you 2016. Yeah.
Yeah,
I told you about it.
It's been so long, right?
It's been so long.
I cannot believe it.
4 years. 5 years, and
yeah.
It doesn't seem like it was 4 years. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy. I was staying with Arnaud.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And then Arno went to work in where did he go? Jeez, I forgot.
Malaysia.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Actually, I was going to work with him in Malaysia.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The company, I did an interview with them. Everything was okay. Everything was perfect. And then they sent me to get the visa papers. I was in Peru because I need to go there to the embassy. Yeah. And then after all of this process, they told me like, I'm so sorry, but the project was cancelled, so you cannot be here.
Yeah.
And I was damn it! I was so excited to be there, working with.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, I went through stuff like that as well. It's pretty common in the industry. That's how it is.
Yeah, but for me, it was like the first time it happened to me. So I'm not so aware about how common it is in the industry. So
yeah, but that's why I always tell people, to try not to get too caught up, in getting this first job. I think it's more valuable if you just spend a lot of time perfecting your skills and really start to make a name for yourself. that way the work will come to you. And I think it's always the best position to be in it, rather trying to chase this first gig, and maybe sometimes have to settle for like pretty shitty jobs. So if you can just spend maybe more time working on your own stuff, I think it's going to be more valuable in the end. So I always tell people not to get too crazy about getting this first gig as soon as possible. I personally spent like, I don't know, at least, a few years before like even trying to get my first job,
Okay, yeah.
I was just spending all my time trying to get better, and then slowly the work started to come by itself.
And learning.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. First of all, I want to say hi to all the people here. I mean, it's not too much, but as they start connecting, I will start,
Yeah,
talking.
sure, no problem.
So
Yes, so I cannot speak Spanish, sadly.
nothing like hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Soy Steven Cormann.
Yeah, you could do it, man. It's perfect. You can do the presentation. You can
Yeah.
start.
Spanish
presenting
is
yourself.
pretty easy, you know what I mean? Whenever I hear Spanish, it's like I almost understand it.
Okay.
But still, I cannot speak it, but when I read it, I almost understand it. It's funny. Maybe it's because it has a lot of similarities with French. I don't know.
It is. Actually, we have a lot of words that are like the same word or really
Yep.
close to it in French and
yeah.
Spanish. And for
Yeah,
me,
it's very instinctive.
for me, French was easy too. I mean, I don't know French because I haven't practiced too much. Actually,
Yeah.
when I was in Belgium, I tried to use some words here and there, but the similarity is really high.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah.
Okay, so here, buenos días a todos ustedes. Gracias por acompañarnos un día más en Crad Live. En este momento tenemos Crad Live número 13 con Steven Cormann. Y estaremos hablando un poco de su vida, un poco de sus trabajos, un poco de arte. Así que bienvenidos nuevamente a este Crad Live. Y esperamos sus preguntas, sus comentarios. Steven estará dispuesto a responderles y a acompañarnos en todo este momento. ¿Listo? Entonces, nuevamente, démosle la bienvenida a Steven Cormann. Steven, thank you very much for to be here with us in this moment.
Thanks to you. Hello, everybody, and thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice to have you here because, as I told you, we met like 4 years ago and we've been kind of in touch. Like here and there, it's hard to be so much in touch because, as we were talking about, it's hard to be a lot of time in the social media, but
yeah.
We're
and
trying
so much
to-
stuff has happened since 4 years ago. It's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy how we have changed,
I know, like 4 years ago, I still felt like I was, really like a newbie who was trying to break in the industry. And I don't know. I mean, now I still consider myself a newbie. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There's just so much stuff that has happened. I feel like, I guess I sort of broke in the industry in the meantime, which is good. And I've just so much stuff has happened work-wise and life-wise since then. It's only been 4 years, but I feel like it's been 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, in these 4 years, I don't know if you have met one of your dream jobs, but you made to work in ILM, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if you remember, like 4 years ago, I was doing the ILM challenge
Exactly.
when we met at THU.
Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. And after that, I got in touch with ILM, and I first started to work with other companies until I finally got to work with ILM, in 2018. So that was a good experience. Yeah, and I feel like since probably 2017, that's when really things started to snowball for me. Because I started to work also with Axis. And and since then I've been getting more and more jobs. So I would say things have never been better for me than right now. So pretty happy.
That's a good quote, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Tell us a bit about that challenge, man. Why did you enter that challenge, that ILM challenge? I did but I wasn't good at it.
Well, that challenge was really special to me because, when I was a kid, I was already like a huge fan of Star Wars, Terminator, Jurassic Park. So I knew about ILM since I've been a little kid. So, and it's something I was dreaming about when I was really young. But, working on films is something I didn't pursue for a very long time. Because now I'm 36 now, and I started when I was 30, so it's been 6 years ago. So I started sort of late, I guess. And I remember that when I started, one of the big things that motivated me is the idea to work, at ILM with all those people on those projects I used to dream about when I was a kid. I remember that really filled me with an insane motivation, and a huge drive.
Amazing.
So when I saw that our station was doing that challenge, I really immediately understood that, okay, this is going to be my opportunity, like the biggest one I will ever have in a long time. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I don't win. I got to give it everything I have, And of course, I didn't win, but it still was enough, to get noticed. So, yeah, I don't regret it at all. And it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, it definitely was, I guess, a really key moment of my short career so far. So, yeah, that's why I entered it. I really felt like it was my shot, that it was now or never, because of the people who were going to judge the contest. I knew I really needed to get in touch with those people and show them my work. So yeah, that's why I did it, and I really gave it everything I had. I remember, like, a lot of sleepless nights. But it was really exciting. It was really, really exciting. I remember that. Sometimes I envy, actually, people who are just entering the industry or are trying to break in, because I envy, like, their early excitement, the early grind. We're still trying to break in,
Yeah.
That's something that is really exciting, I think. I kind of miss that right now. I mean, no, because now I'm trying to do other things, but
you're
it's
excited
always
about
exciting.
different things, You're excited now for different things.
Yeah, I mean, now that I got to work on those projects I wanted to work on, I sort of did a lot of things I really wanted to do. So now I'm already in this phase where I need to think about what I'm going to do next, what is going to be the next challenge. Because if I don't have like a big challenge, something that really excites me, I get bored very easily. I mean, right now I'm having a lot of fun. I'm really working on my dream project, so it's been amazing.
Man. I'm so curious.
It's been amazing. Yeah, I really cannot say anything, but I think in a few months, hopefully, I'll be able to reveal everything. So yeah, I guess
great.
ILM and the project I'm working on now were really probably the two biggest things I could dream about. So it's really everything I wanted to do. So now I gotta already think about what's gonna be next, because otherwise I'm gonna be maybe not bored, because I'm extremely lucky to do what I do, obviously, but I need to have a challenge, to just keep myself excited. That's how I function, If I don't have like a super insane excitement, it's hard for me to give my best. And I don't want to do anything in which I don't give my best, I guess,
That's a good drive, man.
I guess I just want to keep dreaming. That's probably what I'm trying to say, I constantly try to find things that really make me dream, I guess, the way ILM used to make me dream, I mean, it still does, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why I envy young people, who maybe have not really made it yet, but I hope they understand that they're very lucky. It's probably, I think they're living, even though they might be frustrated because they haven't made it yet, when they make it, because they will make it, I think they will look back at that time of their life as something extremely exciting. So sometimes I envy them for that.
Okay. So first of all, I want to ask, Lisette and Thomas, good morning. Everything is fine? You can hear me? Please tell me. ¿Me escuchan? Yeah, we have like some people comment here, so I'm not so sure if they can hear me in the YouTube.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have like your YouTube open, your video. I'm not so sure if I'm being.
I don't have YouTube opened.
Maybe Lisette, if you're here, tell me if you can hear me. Let's see here, because I'm not so sure about it.
Okay.
And I guess I'm not. Okay. Now you're officially with Crad Live stuff. Okay. And now, Thomas, can you hear me? Okay, Lisa Liang. Steven, can you please say hi to Lisette?
Hey,
Thomas,
hello.
Lisa, Santana.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
so
cool.
It's the morning right now for you
Here
guys.
is like
it's early morning.
Yeah, 9:21 a.m. in the morning.
So good.
We are
That's
in
good,
quarantine.
Yeah, that's less funny, but I love the morning, especially Sunday morning. It's the best.
Okay.
I
So
usually take my coffee outside on Sunday morning, just chilling with my dog. Best time of the week.
Sundays are great, man. I mean, I've been like, I was
Yeah, I love Sunday.
so tired during the whole week.
Hmm.
It was so crazy, so heavy, and I was like doing personal work from 10 in the night until 2 a.m. in the morning every
Yeah,
day. So
yeah.
it's hard. And
Hmm.
Sunday is like I'm not going to do anything else now. Like I'm just going
Exactly.
to chill and do stuff. But now,
Yeah.
as you were telling me, I'm like you. I mean, I'm drive by motivation, and if I
Hmm.
don't feel motivation, I'm not going to do anything. And sometimes
Yeah.
the problem for me is that I feel motivated for so many things
Yeah.
that it's hard to choose just one. For example,
I know.
I'm
I
so
know. It's always
drive.
been my problem. Yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm so drive to get into the industry, like into the industry as a character artist, and I'm
Hmm.
still working on it, and I haven't shown my work until I have something so good to show, yeah, just like you were
Yeah.
saying.
Hmm.
And but now I'm with this project, of Crad,
Yeah.
and I am creating this art event here in Colombia, and I'm so
Nice.
motivated to create it and to create something big because I think we deserve to have this experience.
Hmm.
Trying horses, it was like a great experience, and I was like
Yeah.
the only Colombian in the event. So I was like,
Yeah.
we need this kind of stuff here in Colombia, and I'm like super motivated about it.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic that you do that. It's really awesome, man.
Well, thank you very much, man. Yeah, I mean, it's for Colombians and for Latin American people that it's so hard to be there. Like, we have to
Yeah.
go to Portugal and we have to go
Yeah. It's
to
quite far for
Spain.
you guys, I imagine. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yes. My dog is barking. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear him, but
don't worry, it's
don't
fine.
freak out if suddenly you hear my dog barking super loud, because sometimes
He
he does that.
he wants to get out.
Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. The thing is that
Okay.
is that I'm in my office, and he spends the entire day just looking through the window, and whenever he sees like a bicycle or a cat or a dog, he just goes nuts and starts screaming like that. There's
Okay.
nothing I can do.
Steven, tell us a bit about how did you start? I mean, you told us
Yeah.
you started at 30,
Yeah,
in
I
the
was pretty
industry.
much. Yeah, I mean, it's been. I mean, it's kind of tricky to say exactly, because in a way, I feel like I started when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
um, it's just that it took me pretty much 30 years before coming to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to work for this, and I'm going to make it. I've always loved movies and art, but it just never was something I envisioned as a career. It's hard to say exactly why. I mean, I'm a kid from the 80s. There was no internet, and I guess, yeah, I just never realized that I could get there if I wanted to work really hard. It's just what always is like distant dream. Yeah, I live in Belgium. I'm never gonna be able to work in Hollywood.
Okay.
Um, there was never a point in my life where I was like, okay, now I'm gonna do this. So I went on and did other things that were, at first at least, maybe a bit more normal. So I went to high school with a focus on sciences. Then I went to university to study biology. Um, but even though I love all that, I could never really see where I was going. And so on this side, I started also to make music. I became a drummer, and
Right.
I guess for a few years that was really my main thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna choose music and I'm gonna make it into music. But even in that, I dedicated a lot of time to music, pretty much all my time and all my money. But still, I never felt really like, I guess, completely fulfilled, or at least until some point. It was fun for a while, but when I was almost 30 years old, I realized that if somebody was gonna ask me, okay, what do you want to do later, I had no idea. And that was really a scary thought. Okay, I have no plan for the future, and I realized I never had any plan. I was always sort of freestyling, going with the wave, but I never really had any goal or plan ever for 30 years. So when I realized that, it was kind of a really scary thought.
It was getting
And
late.
yeah, I was running late. I was like, where the fuck am I going with my life? And also, before 30 or maybe 28, 29, I never felt like I was going to get old, It was really hard for me to project myself more than 5 years in the future. I never could do that, never. So I never saved a single dollar, euro for all those years. I never bought a house, a good car, whatever, I never settled really down because I could never project myself far in the future up until I was almost 30. And at the same time, the music stuff started to, I guess, sort of fall apart, or at least for me, I just wasn't motivated anymore to do it. And I had maybe 2 or 3 years where I was really completely lost. I really didn't know what I was going to do.
Okay.
And to keep it simple and short, I slowly started to think again about my life, what I like, what truly excites me. And I realized, it's always been art and movies. I've always wanted to do that. So I started to get interested into that again, especially, around 2013, 14, by that time, times that changed a lot now with the internet and stuff. People can do this stuff from home. You can learn everything from home.
Yeah.
And initially I wanted to be a film director, and I started to learn about those guys like Gareth Edwards who did Godzilla,
Yeah.
and many other guys who all started in visual effects. And that's when I realized, okay, maybe there's something for me to do there. Maybe I can do exactly what those guys did, And when I realized that I could do that, well, that was amazing. I still remember the exact moment when it hit me, like, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to do that. And it's going to be amazing. I can work on films. I can do all this stuff if I want to. There's nothing stopping me. Yeah, I'm almost 30, but I still have time, So, and that's basically it, From that moment, I started to work as hard as I have ever worked on anything. I had never really worked that hard before. And especially, I had never had a plan before that. This time I had a plan and a clear goal. It was the first time in my life when I had that. So I think that changed everything for me. And since then, I've been working nonstop, 7 days a week on my skills.
Yeah.
And up until the moment when we met, 4 years ago, I was in the process of really getting into the industry. I think by 2016, things started to shape up very slowly. I had maybe 1 or 2 freelance gigs already. So, and I just kept at it, and slowly the jobs started to come at me. And I did the ArtStation challenge. And that's how things snowballed, Things just kept on progressing up until the point where I am now.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late. And
no, it's never too late, man.
Some people feel like the same of you. Sometimes it feels that it's late for us, but then when you start into the industry, it's not late. I mean, it's
what's
early.
more important?
There are a lot of years to come, I mean, it's
amazing. And it might sound like I started when I was 30, but actually, I feel like I started, as I said, when I was a kid, because, it's something I had always liked, I had always liked art. I had always drawn my whole life, so it was just a matter of putting everything together in an organized way with a clear goal in mind. That's more what it was all about, I guess, and just focusing all my efforts on this single thing.
That's great. I mean, I can understand why you started with this matte painting and concept art of environment. When you were telling about you wanted to tell stories, you wanted to be a director, you wanted to break it into the industry as a film director, work for films like ILMs. And
this stuff was really making me dream a lot. So
super cinematic. I mean, I was. How did you get into
to me,
this
actually,
style?
it's funny. It's funny because my main influences were actually more films than other visual artists, I guess. Okay. Which is kind of weird, I could feel that when I was going to the first THU editions, I didn't know that much about the industry when it comes to the artists who were doing concept art and matte painting. I knew more about people who were directing films, and visual effects. It's kind of funny. Yeah. So since then, I've learned a lot, obviously, and I really love what I do. But even now, it's true that what I do is always with some kind of cinematic eye, I guess. I always tell myself, okay, how would this look like in a movie? this is always what I do. I always try to create like a small portion of a film I would love to see, even if it's just one frame. That's the way I usually approach my work. And I guess that's why I also naturally ended up working mostly in films or cinematics, because I just do cinematic work, I guess.
That's really cool. Bien. Chicos, si tienen alguna pregunta, no duden en hacerla. Aquí la haremos con Steven, ¿vale? Así que, ok. Carlos, buenos días. Lisa, buenos días. Lisette, Santana, Thomas, good morning. Thank you for being with us. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just ask them. And we are glad to answer them. So, yeah. I'm sorry, it was like a parenthesis here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why? I mean, what's your interest like in art in general? Not just in the industry, but in art. I mean,
well,
what inspires you to create this?
I guess I love landscapes, and epic stuff, sunsets.
I can see that.
And as I said, I love movies as well. As I just said, whenever I create an image, it's almost always a frame of a movie I would like to see. I'm always imagining, okay, what is gonna be the scene, what is gonna be the music like, what is gonna be the camera move, even if I don't do a camera move. So this is the kind of stuff that really excites me. Also architecture, I guess, because that's something that sort of developed, naturally when I started to do environments. I was not overly interested into architecture before. That's something that developed over the last, I guess, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So I started to learn a lot about that, and I really love it, And to some extent, also, I do love creating vehicles, hard surface stuff. I don't do it that much, but, like the spaceship I did here for the Island Challenge, I don't think I had ever done something like that before, actually. It was probably my first, vehicle I did. But I had so much fun doing it, and I thought it was so fascinating that from now and then I still do it, like those things here that I did. Also, I mean, it's been like 3 years now, I think, or 2 years, but yeah. So I do mostly outdoor environments, but every once in a while, I still like to do those kind of airplanes or whatever, Yeah.
I saw it.
And once again,
that's
always
really
with some kind of cinematic eye, I guess, I spend a lot of time studying actually filmmaking tutorials, how to light a scene in real life. And then I sort of try to apply those principles to CG and digital painting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so driving today into the filmmaking stuff, I've been reading a lot of directing books and the anatomy of story, and that's crazy. I mean, that's super good.
Yeah. I think it's something I would still want to evolve in later. I mean, I must admit that right now I'm still in this phase where I'm sort of enjoying myself where I'm at. I'm still thinking about the future, but I have so much work right now that I'm just, focusing a little bit on doing that work and enjoying myself a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's about, as you said, it was about balance. Sometimes the work, our jobs, I mean, consumes us that much that we don't have like the energy to keep doing personal work. I mean, it happened to me a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I prefer to take the Saturday and Sunday to go and leave, maybe to have some social life.
Yeah.
And no just getting to my computer all the hours that I have for free.
Yeah, I totally understand.
My eyes are suffering. My eyes are suffering a lot, man.
I understand. In my case, I would say it's also probably because now I'm back to a full-time freelance life. So I work from home, and I feel like when you work freelance... Oh, sorry, my dog is barking again.
Don't worry.
Give me a second.
Okay, so Santana has a question, and Thomas, okay.
I was just saying, I feel like when you work freelance, it's much more difficult to find the right balance between work and life.
Yeah.
So that's probably why now on weekends I do things that are not art related. I drive my car, I fix my car, I just go for walks and stuff like that.
We love your car.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's same for cars, for example. I used to love cars when I was a kid, but it's something I completely lost any interest in for like 30 years. I only started to get interested into them recently, and I wonder why. maybe it's because I didn't have any money. I think this year is the first year when I finally have some savings, and decent income where I can enjoy a car that's a bit better than the cheapest van I could find, because
I can
for like almost 20 years I drove like the cheapest cars I could find, So this year is the first year I sort of buy a car that I actually like, and I enjoy, trying to understand how it works, how an engine works, like all the engineering side of things. I think all of that is really fascinating, actually.
Cool, man. We have a question here. Santana asks, "Are you self-taught?" And
yeah,
maybe it's like part of the same question. It says, "What were your sources of learning matte painting when you started?" Like, one courses, anything you would recommend?
So the thing is that I guess I'm pretty much self-taught, even though I think it's still something to mention. After I studied biology, I went for 1 year to art school because I still wanted to give art a shot, even though I had no idea what I would like to do in art.
Yeah.
So I studied art for 1 year. So that taught me the fundamentals and stuff like that. But that was like in 2004. And after that, I completely stopped for 10 years. I didn't draw a single thing for 10 years, but still, I still had the theory, So I still think that was pretty valuable to have like some proper art training about the fundamentals, at least. So that was still valuable. But when it comes to the digital side of things, I was doing some Photoshop before that because I used to create like album covers for my band and concert flyers and stuff like that. But it was not to a professional level, But still, I sort of knew how Photoshop worked, so that helped also. But when it comes really to what I do now, I think, I learned everything myself, with the help of some GNOME DVDs, exactly, like the Dylan Cole ones. And pretty much all the others I could find, and also more recently, I guess, the Learn Squared courses. I watched quite a bunch of those as well. Also used Max Berman's course. It wasn't too long ago. It's weird. It's been only like 4 years, but that was also helpful. I'm pretty much self-taught, I just try to copy basically what the other artists I was liking were doing. I don't mean copy in terms of like themes, and images, but just in the type of kind of rendering I wanted to get.
Yeah.
So for that, I was very much inspired
maybe.
by Dylan Cole, and guys like that. So naturally, I just watched their tutorials, and and for the more 3D aspect of things, to be honest, that's just a matter of like learning myself and just by watching random YouTube videos, cannot really think of a single source of learning that I use, It's just little bits of learning that keep adding up, that I get from here and there on YouTube, GNOME, Learn Squared, whatever.
Is there like any source that you can recommend for young people or for people that want to get into the industry, maybe in matte painting?
Yeah. So, the first thing you need to really understand about matte painting, because it's important to mention, is that it's very much a VFX discipline. I do both. I do matte painting and VFX, and concept art. Sorry, but the type of matte painting that I do, it's maybe not that much the kind of matte painting you're going to do if you work on films, because these days when you work on films, it's a lot of technical stuff, and it's pretty much fully CG. There's still some matte painting stuff going on, but I guess the type of matte painting that I do is more visible in animation or TV, stuff like that. Game cinematics a lot as well. And but if you want to learn the kind of stuff that I do, I would say get the basics like the Dylan Cole GNOME DVDs. I think that will teach you everything you need to know about the Photoshop aspect of things.
Okay.
How to manipulate photos, relight them, paint over. That is still my go-to courses for that. And then for the 3D side of things, it's hard to say because things are evolving really quickly, I remember back in the day, once again, it's been only maybe like 6 years, but I learned a lot by taking Francesco Corvino's DVD on GNOME. Jesus. So he had a course about matte painting. I mean, concept art, but using matte painting techniques, using Photoshop, and also Maya and V-Ray. So that really taught me a lot about the basics of 3D. Now, like I said, things have changed a lot. Now you have Blender and all those people who do the Blender tutorials. I'm not using Blender, but it seems cool. And when it comes to 3D, it's pretty much whatever you want. You can use whatever you want, so that doesn't really matter. But one final aspect you need to take into account if you wanted to get into matte painting is camera projections and compositing. So the use of basically Nuke. And for that, Jesus, my dog is going crazy. Sorry. You can. There's a. You have like the camera projection bootcamp, and that's the name I was looking for. Camera projection bootcamp by Garrett Fry. So that would be on mattepaintingforfilm.com. I think it's mp4fm.com.
Camera
and
projection
that
bootcamp, and
yeah,
I will write it into the chat.
Yeah, so that will teach you everything you need to know about camera projections, which is one tool we use a lot in matte painting. But remember, that is only going to be valuable if you really want to do real matte painting, so in VFX, so actually creating like moving shots, Yeah. It's not the same as concept art. Of course, you can still use the same techniques for concept art. You just don't take into account, the VFX side of things. And that's what I do. The project I'm on right now, I'm only doing concept art. So I'm using still the same 3D and 2D techniques that I would use for matte painting, but I just don't do the VFX stuff. That's not the goal. It's just a lot more about design and providing like a lot of quick illustrations.
Kind of what Pablo Carpio does, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Like concept art. That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people are using now Blender, as you said, like for creating scenarios, automatic and procedural scenarios. And that's amazing. I mean, I think that the quality that Blender is giving is so good. A lot of people that are not like so much into illustration and stuff are trying it, and it gives like a super cinematic style in really a few minutes. So it's crazy. I haven't tried it.
I personally don't use Blender, but from what I've seen and from what I've tried it's great. Probably for people who have never used 3D before, but you can do that with any 3D package these days. I still use Maya and Redshift, and it works fine for what I do. So
it's amazing,
It's really up to you, whatever you want to use. I also use a lot of ZBrush actually. That's something I use a lot too.
Tell us, what's your favorite project, man? What's the project that you enjoyed the most? I mean, like, wow, I'm so happy to finish this.
Yeah, I think it's probably the one I'm on right now. I'm really, I've been on it like 9 months, and it's been really intense, but I'm absolutely never bored. It's really, really, really awesome. So amazing. That's probably the most fun I had. Now, the most excited I was probably for Jurassic World at ILM, just because, that was really like, making my childhood dream. Yeah, making my childhood dream come true, Jurassic Park is like one of my favorite films ever. Working for ILM was a dream. So when I got to ILM to work on that, it was like really the best thing in the world for me.
That's crazy. That's so good. And it happened in these last 4 years, like...
Yeah, it happens like, ILM was like only 2 years ago, and so that was unbelievable for me. I still remember the excitement, when I got the call to do that. I was like, oh my God, this is it, like finally.
You did freelance for them?
No, I worked actually in-house in London.
In London, For how many? For 2 years you worked there?
No, much shorter than that. I've been in touch with ILM for a while, but when I was on site for Jurassic World, that's what was for the first half of 2018, actually. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff I cannot talk about, but I just cannot say more. But hopefully you will know soon. Hopefully.
I hope so, man. I hope so, because
I would just say that time at ILM is responsible for a lot of good things that happen to me right now, still happening right now, I guess.
And is there a work that in the other side you say like, I can do it better? I don't like it at all. Like.
Well, I say to myself, I can do better with absolutely every piece I do. That's my curse, And
that's an artist
and I'm
thing.
sure it's the case for everybody. I'm sure, But I gotta say, I got pretty lucky. There has not been many projects that I really didn't enjoy. except maybe the very first ones I did when I worked on some commercials. But it was completely because of me, because I was a newbie. I was very stressed. I didn't ask for enough money. I was suggesting unrealistic deadlines, typical newbie mistakes,
Yeah.
So it's all up to me. And but since I figured out how to do business, now that I know how much time I need, how much I should charge, now that I know a lot more people in the industry, that I'm in good terms with all my clients, everything is always really great. I almost never have bad experiences. It's really rare.
It's crazy, man. There's a lot of important things and important stuff apart than just art, that we need to learn. I mean, that business part is, for me, is one of the hardest part because maybe you put some timelines and a client doesn't like it, and then you try to balance it with the charge and the money, and it's really hard to get into in that point. Maybe you're now an expert for it, but for people that are not that much into the industry, sometimes hard to know how to charge.
It's something. It's a skill you need to learn. It's the whole set of knowledge you need to learn. It's a shame we don't learn enough about that at school, I think, in my opinion. I was never, taught at school how to do my taxes, how to own a business, stuff like that. So I had to figure all this stuff on myself, Now, if you work in the studio, it's a bit more easy, obviously. You usually don't have to deal with rates, and you still have to negotiate your contract, obviously. So it's still valuable to know about business, but I guess it's more about when you work as a freelancer, I guess. Because, a lot of people have bad experiences in freelance. They say you work way too much for not enough money. You have no life. I can understand it because I went through that as well, and it's still difficult for me to manage my life properly. But if you learn to do it properly, then it's actually great, But it's a skill you need to learn.
Yeah. Santana asks, how did you prepare your portfolio to get those kind of jobs?
Yeah. Well, it's very simple. I just kept on working as much as I could, producing a lot of personal work, and just always trying to make it better, always looking at it, figuring out, okay, what doesn't work, what works, getting feedback from people. And then I went to a lot of industry events when I was starting, like THU, industry workshop and stuff like that. And I showed my work to many people. I also posted a lot on ArtStation, Facebook, etc. And and that's how it happened. I always went back to my portfolio to take out the pieces that I felt were not that great. And it was just a process. Slowly my portfolio got better, and that's how the job started to come. It's really that simple. There's no real secret. Just look at what other people do, like professionals you want to work with or that do the jobs you want to do. Just look at their portfolio and just put yours next to them and just try to make it as good, Try to understand why theirs is better and just try to get to that point, It's a slow process, but you will get there eventually.
That's a really good advice, man. I had a Crad live when I was giving some portfolio reviews, and I was telling them, guys, do personal work. A lot of people post a lot of professional work. And
that's something actually really important to mention. I did a lot of personal work that I really enjoyed, and I think that's important. You got to do work that really you enjoy doing. It's got to be your own voice.
Exactly.
I think that's how you will get the most joy out of your work and the best jobs in the end. So stay true to yourself. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thomas asks, he says, I really like your tribute to Lebeus Woods. What generally inspires your personal work? Other artists, movies, maybe music?
A lot of movies inspire me. Also, a lot of architects for that piece, for example. But when it comes to movies, that's probably what inspires me the most. And it's going to sound very cliche, but I'm a huge fan, obviously, of Steven Spielberg, and all those films from 80s, 70s, early 90s, like, Alien, Terminator, Jurassic Park, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all this stuff, So those are my main sources of inspiration, designers like Sid Mead, just like that, obviously.
Yeah.
traditional matte painters also. Um, you can see their work, but in all those films, the early Star Wars movies, I love traditional matte painting, and I think that sometimes I wish I was born like maybe 20 years earlier, so I could work on those movies when they were doing like that kind of matte painting. Um,
Yeah,
what else do I like? Yeah, I mean, I like pretty much everything.
some people
Um,
don't value, the effort that artists did in these kind of movies.
yeah, I mean, back in the day, like,
Filmmakers, I mean, in the
yeah,
80s, it's crazy. I mean, it's so good. I
so
mean,
good.
the
It still looks
quality now
amazing
is
now.
like different in terms of, high
Yeah.
tech and CG, but
Hmm.
stories and matte paintings, as you
Yeah,
said, it's really hard to understand how they did it in that moment.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. A lot of work and skill went into all that, obviously, and I'm a huge fan. Yeah, like yeah, the early Star Wars films designers like Joey Johnson, all those guys. Even the prequels with Doug Chiang and all those guys from ILM. All those guys inspire me a lot. Um,
That's
and if you
that's so
want to talk
good.
about more traditional inspiration, like I really like stuff like the Hudson River painters. If you look at work like this, you can tell it's very much influenced by that. Those type epic skies, not super realistic, but just a bit over the top like that.
But you did
Um,
it like using photographs or
yeah, this is typically like digital matte painting, so it's using photos with a bit of painting on top of it.
okay?
This is really typical, DMP work, like 2D DMP work. That's really what it is. So
That's
you can see
so
the
good.
process here. So there is painting, but also a lot of use of photos. And if you want to learn this kind of stuff, for example, it's really the kind of stuff you can learn if you watch the Dylan Cole Phenomenon DVDs, I think.
Okay, that's. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's impressive because it's hard. I mean, like when I was in beginning trying to understand
Hmm.
what kind of things do I would I like to do in the future,
Yeah.
I tried
Hmm.
to do some of this photo bashing stuff, and it's
Yeah.
hard. I mean, it's hard if you don't understand fundamentals. It's
Yeah.
not easy to do this kind of stuff. That's
No, it's
amazing.
kind of, I mean, I think the most important is to have a good eye, actually. And that's something I spend a lot of time training. I just look a lot outside of my window. I look at the sky.
Yeah,
I try to understand why the clouds appear this way, where the light is coming from, how the atmosphere works, why suddenly there's more haze at that that level compared to another level. So yeah, I just spend a lot of time looking outside, basically. I take a lot of photos with my phone also. I think if you can at least see how it should look like, it's a lot more easy. And the technical side of things really doesn't matter at that point. Because I'm actually not that technical, when it comes to CG and stuff like that. There's so much stuff I don't know, but I think at least I have a decent eye, so I can tell when it's good enough or when it's not good enough. I
yeah.
mean, it's something I'm still working on every day, obviously. It wasn't always okay. It used to be bad, but
I mean,
yeah, it's something I work a lot on.
it was hard to understand me at the beginning, but it's
Hmm.
like an eye opener when people says you it's about storytelling. When you
Hmm.
know
Yeah,
what kind
as
of
well.
stories
Yep.
do you want to tell, everything's
Yeah.
like better, and you don't have to focus that much into the technical stuff, but in the storytelling and in the fundamental stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. And for an image like this, I wouldn't say it's about the story because it's just an image, but it's the same. It's the feeling I want to convey with the painting.
Exactly. Yeah.
So story or feeling doesn't matter as long as you have that in mind. You will get to that point, no matter even if you don't understand how. You will get there when you see it. You know it. You
But
just keep messing around with it until you get it.
But you know what kind of emotions you want to drive when you
Yeah,
create this kind of,
exactly.
this kind of
Yeah,
images. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. The emotion. Whenever I do an image, I have an emotion in mind. Feeling. It can be anything. As long as it drives me and inspires me to do the image.
yeah, that's
When I
that's so
work for
good.
clients, it's a bit different though. When I work for clients, because you have a brief and you just need to get it done. But still, even when I work for clients, I always find an emotion to attach to the work. So in the end, I still manage to do it using the same sort of process.
What is a typical client for you?
Typical clients. Well, it's a lot. I mean, during the last 2 years, I did a lot of game cinematics.
Okay.
So I did a lot of matte painting for game cinematics. Like, for example, Destiny. A lot of stuff for Magic the Gatherings. Also, not really a game, but still CG animatics.
Oh, okay.
Outriders. I did a lot of those DMPs here in the background. A lot of stuff like this. So usually full CG in 2D environments that end up in the final shot. So I did a lot of that. I still do a lot of that. And the other thing I do, but that's the thing I really cannot show right now, but I will have a lot of it to show, is concept art. I actually do a lot of set design. And it's funny because you probably cannot see that at all in my portfolio. But right now I've been doing like interior designs for like 9 months.
That's so good, man.
So I cannot wait to show all that. It's actually really hard. I had everything to learn when doing that,
It's more about like
so I do concept art.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding architecture. And yeah. And the way light works, obviously, inside is completely different because you got to create the light. You cannot just put a sun or a sky. So typical clients is like, game cinematics or film DMPs and concept art. But what I don't do, for example, at all is game work, like game assets, for example, or stuff that end up in the actual game. I've never worked for a video. Yeah, I've never worked for a video game, actually, only for game cinematics,
I wanted to ask that, like, have you worked for video games, and what's the difference between, maybe you can ask this. What's the difference between working for films like Jurassic World and working for cinematics, for example, like Destiny?
Yeah. Well, if you take a look at Jurassic World, especially at a company like ILM, which is very advanced when it comes to the tech side of things, it's really very technical. I mean, it's still, you still need to have a really good artistic eye, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot more invisible stuff. This is not invisible, obviously, but here, if you take a look at the background, you probably have no idea that it's done in Photoshop, right? Using photographs, CG.
Wow.
But this is typically like a background replacement,
That's amazing.
The background is completely done in Photoshop and with some 3D elements. This branch here is actually completely CG. And then I just blended up with some photos that were taken on the set. And then I just replaced the whole background, This is the kind of work you do in films a lot.
Oh, crazy. But that's an image. I thought if it is 3D, it's like the render of the 3D scene there.
Yeah.
And if you move the camera, you can look.
And what happened in this shot, for example, is that they shot obviously the shot, but then they decided to change the camera a little bit, because you can do that in post-production. So the background was not working anymore, so I had to rebuild it. So this is like a typical DMP task in a company like ILM that works on big films, Same for this one. You have here the Raptor that destroys the staircase. But that meant that I had to rebuild the set in 3D. So I rebuilt the whole wall and the frames, the painting in CG and matte painting. But when you look at the shot, you wouldn't know that because it's invisible. So when you work on films, the big majority of the work is invisible work like this.
Okay.
Sometimes you have something more visible, like here a volcano. That's more visible. It's more a bit more typical matte painting. This shot, the full CG shot as well, but very technical, While when I work on game cinematics, I tend to only do like the hero shots, for example, the opening shot, the epic landscape. This is the kind of stuff that I do. So in a way, it's more fun, I guess. If you like this kind of stuff.
More epic, like.
Yeah, and I tend to do usually the whole shot by myself. In this case, I was given the geometry for the antenna here. And somebody else did the guy here with the foreground, but otherwise I handle the whole shot pretty much myself. So this is typically the kind of stuff that I do when I work on game cinematics. Same for this one, I did the full environment by myself, then somebody else will comp the characters in it.
Yeah, that's great.
So this is typically the work I do on game cinematics. So it is very different, actually.
Also, you don't comp the characters in the same shot. Someone else put it there.
Usually somebody else would put the characters in it. Yeah. Usually, yes.
We have a question here. It says, any thoughts about Feng Shu's videos?
I haven't, when I started to get in the industry, Doug, so when I started to get interested in it, it was in 2013,
Yeah.
But when I actually started to work on my skills, that was in 2014. But when I was starting to, to try to learn who was working in the industry, one of the first guys I learned about was obviously Feng Zhu, actually. So I did watch a lot of his videos. I didn't really follow his tutorials because I was not decided yet about what I want to do exactly.
Yeah.
But I still found them super enjoyable because it was just exciting me a lot, to see how this stuff was being created. So I don't really have an opinion about the quality of what he teaches because I have not really followed, his tutorials. But I really enjoyed his videos back in the day, just because it was really making me excited about the industry. That's really the only thing I could say about his work.
And that's important too, man. I mean, we need inspiration. We artists need kind of inspiration
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
feel motivated. And this kind of material, even if we don't follow it, at least
Yeah.
it drives us to keep learning.
Yeah,
stuff.
I felt like I wasn't sure it was the type of work I wanted to do, but I just really loved what he was doing. It just made me really excited. All those really awesome designs for films, that really seemed like the coolest stuff in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, we have another question here. Joe Jacobs, hi Joe, how are you? He says, have to been or thought about working in a game engine like Unreal to do some
Yeah.
world building?
I've thought about it, but I've never done it.
Okay.
I always felt like the real-time engine still had this sort of video gameish look that I'm not too fond of. I prefer the look of like ray-traced engines like V-Ray and Redshift. But I did see the latest demo of the latest Unreal Engine, and it's really fantastic, actually. So I might want to dive into that, I think, when it gets released, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, these kind of engines are giving a lot of power for cinematic.
Yeah. No, I think we're gonna get to a point. We're gonna get to a point
faster
when.
and easier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, when it's about ray tracing, I mean, it's a lot of machine consuming and time spending in the rendering, right? How long does it take to render one of your images,
it used
for
to be
example?
it used to be the case when I started because I was using V-Ray at first, and I didn't have like an amazing machine, so renders were extremely slow. Then I switched to Keyshot a little bit. Still wasn't exactly fast because it's still CPU based and I had a shit computer. But in my experience, everything changed drastically when I started to use Redshift almost 4 years ago. Redshift is extremely fast, and you can get it to work really fast with cheap graphic cards. I mean, sort of cheap, you know what I mean? In my machine here, I have like 4 2080 Ti's. Those are not super cheap, obviously. But if you only had one, Redshift would still be extremely fast, And most of what I do for a single frame, the rendering is a matter of seconds or minutes,
Oh, great.
It's really fast, I almost never have a render that takes more than 10 minutes, and that's already an extreme case. So, in my opinion, it's pretty fast,
But if you want to render, for example, this gives me to you were doing some personal work where you were showing some videos about a camera movement, getting
Yeah.
into an environment. This kind of camera movement, how long does it take? For example, it's like 10 minutes per shot.
That's different, obviously, because it's an animation, so it depends what kind of render time you can get per frame. But with Redshift, it's still super fast. I'm sure they should render it like in 2 hours maximum. It's not super high quality, but still 2 hours for this is pretty okay, I think.
Yeah, it's like
Because
15
so when,
frames.
yeah,
per
because when you
second,
do,
something.
and the thing is that when you do that, every time you want to see how it looks like, you don't render everything at high quality. You just render certain frames at low quality, and you only do the final render just once. And you can do it when you go to sleep, at night. It's not a problem. So, but yeah, 2 hours for that is really fast, I think. So, what else do I have? Yeah, I mean, usually my renders, a maximum, when I worked for some studios when I really needed to learn to render like a heavy sequence, every single frame, the maximum it took was like maybe 12 hours. So it's still something you can do overnight, You leave the office, you launch the render, and it's done when you come back the next morning.
Yeah, that's a good advice, man. I was rendering.
Hmm.
I mean, I created this kind of short introducing
Yeah,
the art event, like for the opening ceremony,
yeah,
and I did it by myself, and it was like 4 weeks or 3 weeks before the event, and
yeah,
my
yeah.
machine was shitty, so I need
Hmm.
to ask for a new one. It was crazy. I mean, it was like more than 48 hours of render, maybe,
Hmm. Yeah,
and the
yeah,
quality
yeah.
was not as good as I would like to, but it's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
I mean, it's a lot of time
yeah, I
consuming.
mean, obviously it depends on what kind of machine you have, what kind of render engine you're using, and your render settings, how heavy is the scene. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you what happened with this kind of personal work, man. Are you going to continue with it? It was like a film.
Yeah, I mean, I still got a lot of personal stuff going on. I just don't work a lot of it at the moment because I got so much work to do already that, as I said, when I have some free time, I like to enjoy it, yeah, doing something else, non-art related,
Yeah,
Like last weekend, I took like the first vacation ever in
crazy.
a very long time. I only went for 3 days to Disneyland, but it felt amazing,
Yeah,
just to do something completely different. So I don't do a lot of personal work at the moment. I've took like the whole 2020 just to focus on the client work I had because those are pretty cool projects I'm really excited about. So I felt like I wanted to dedicate all my time to that and to just enjoy life on the side. But I think probably maybe from next year I will get back to more personal work. Hopefully, we'll see.
I have seen or I saw some of like a tutorial you did or maybe a course you did.
I
Maybe
did a learn for class. Yeah, I have a learn for
yeah.
class actually. I forgot to mention that. If you want to learn, if you want to learn what I do, well, just follow my class. I guess shameless promotion.
Yeah, come on, give us your promotion.
Yeah,
Sell
so
us your
here you have
class.
the trailer here, or is it the final shot? Yeah, I think it's the final shot. So in my course, I basically teach to do exactly this from scratch to finish.
Crazy, super
So,
good.
so it is a mix, of like full CG animation. Everything you see here, the trees, up until this point is like fully CG. Then the whole background is 2D DMP with some 3D as well. Then it's projected back inside of Nuke. So the course basically covers the whole process from scratch to finish.
That's super good. So, and that's kind of the stuff that you do like in a daily basis.
This is very much what I do when I work on game cinematics and stuff like that. Right now,
Okay.
I do concept art, but when I work on game cinematics, it's pretty much exactly that I do. It's pretty much almost the same kind of process that I use. Like 50-50 CG and DMP, it's both.
Okay, that's so good, man. Someone is asking here, how do you pick or choose what to do for a personal project?
Huh. Well, it's a good question. I guess it's just something that suddenly inspires me that I feel an urge to do. It can be anything. Maybe I see a movie, maybe I hear a song that I like, maybe I have an emotion I want to convey. It can be anything. I wouldn't say I choose. Maybe it's the work that chooses me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean
it's just that
it's
it's just that I feel inspired and like I feel like a nerve to do something, so I do it. That's how it works for me.
yeah, and guys, if you want to learn more about matte painting, just go for that. It's Learn
Yeah,
Square
learn square.
tutorial
Yeah,
with
3D
Steven
matte
Cormann.
painting. Yeah.
I wanted to show us, if you can, the capsule corp. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Well, I
did
think it's still
back in the
yeah,
day. I mean, it's crazy.
it's still on my art station. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
if you guys know this, if you have seen this image. It's pretty old, but it's so
Yes,
good. It
it's
keeps
5 years
being
old.
like super. How to say this? Like,
It's been
uh,
reposted all the time on Instagram. It's funny.
yeah, it's so good, and I think this was like one of the first jobs that Steven Cormann did, and
Yeah.
give him into the industry. I mean, it's so good. So if
Yeah,
you want to,
I think it was one of the first works I did that was almost completely 3D. It was the first time I modeled like a whole piece, you know. And there's still a bit of overpaint on it to add some like texture details because back in the day I didn't know anything about proper texturing. Uh, So I think it's a combination
That's
of
crazy.
people love Dragon Ball Z, so it was maybe the first time they were seeing something sort of photorealistic. That's why probably people reacted well to that image. I don't think somebody had really done it before. And also, Keyshot is really an amazing render engine, and especially with the backplate, that works really well in Keyshot. It was an image I bought on a website called Image Based Life, I think. So yeah, it was just a combination of things that really made the image work really well. So still fun to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I still look at it and I remember when I saw it for the first time, and I think that inspired me to create some images. I just
Yeah.
I just don't know where they are, and some people still write me like, "Hey man, I want to do this kind of stuff. So how can you charge about it?" And it's so
Yeah.
it was so old that I don't even know if I should answer that comments like
Yeah.
because they are so good. I want to show you one day.
Yeah, sure. It's funny
So
because I had started a second image of this, but I gave up on it because I lost the inspiration for it. I did it once. I don't need to do it twice. That's also how I work. Usually when I do an image, it's done. I don't feel the need to go back to it or to do another version of it.
it's crazy, no? I think it
Hmm.
happens to all of us when
Yeah.
we created when we created
Yeah.
an image and it's finally finished and we post it and stuff. We
Yeah.
don't want to know anything about it anymore, and
I
we
know,
just
right?
want to
Yeah.
create new stuff. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
That's how yeah. And I feel like I'm sort of like that for everything in my life, work-wise. I mean, once I've done what I wanted to do, I need to have a new goal, something else. It's hard for me to keep doing the same stuff for a long time. It's always been like that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, when I have portfolio reviews or something, and people say like, "Hey, you should have done this, and maybe if you improve your proportions, and maybe if you improve your textures," what I do is
Yeah.
like having this kind of advices and use them for a new project, so I
Yeah.
can improve
Exactly.
in a new project in a new
Yeah.
process.
Totally. Yeah. I
I'm not
totally
going to
understand it.
get into the same old project. It's
Yeah. No.
crazy.
And when I look at this, I see a ton of stuff I could improve, like a ton of stuff. But I feel like I would rather spend time on doing something new. Because if you look at the geometry, it's like really basic. Actually, it's
It
really
is.
shitty. But
I
somehow it works. So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, now like 4 years ago, after this, I can see like maybe the textures can be improved and stuff, and maybe
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
maybe
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
overpainted the burnt stuff. But
Yeah.
it's cool to look at it in retrospective because you have
Yeah.
learned. It's a
Yeah,
good
and,
one.
and it's fine. You don't need to overthink your old pieces. As long as you improve, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa Liang is asking for concept art. Currently, do you work mostly in 2D or 3D or a combination?
It's pretty much exactly the same stuff I do for DMP. It's 2D and 3D.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
do pretty much exactly what I do for DMP, except that I don't do the DMP side of things. I don't do the compositing and the animation. But tool-wise and technique-wise, it's ZBrush, Maya, Redshift, Photoshop. So same stuff I use for matte painting.
okay, man, that's good. He says Joe Jacobs. Do you model? That's a good question as well. I think. Do you model all your assets or do you use packs and kit bash?
I definitely use Kitbash. Um, it depends just for what. When you need to design something, like I do a lot now for the project I'm on, I cannot use Kitbash, obviously.
Okay.
Um, but there's some stuff that I use Kitbash for sure. Whenever you have something that doesn't need to be overly designed, like, I don't know, an element in the background, I don't know. It really depends. A table, whatever, window that is not that important to the scene.
Yeah.
Then I would use Kitbash for this kind of stuff. Or sometimes, um, maybe I would use Kitbash just to generate small details that are not that readable. I would design like the main shapes, but then I would just add small details that are not that defined by using Kitbash pieces. For example, if I do a ship like this, um, if I would do it now at least, maybe, I don't know, I would add some little handles and stuff like that on the side. Just little tech pieces that I can find in Vitaly Bulgarov's Kitbash, stuff like that, that
Vitaly
don't need to
Bulgarov.
be designed for this. A handle is pretty much a handle on anything or almost.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. This guy is
or even for
crazy.
buildings. For buildings, when I do matte paintings, I would maybe model like the hero buildings. They need to have like specific designs. But like for the far background distant buildings that just need to be buildings, yeah, why not use Kit Bash? It doesn't matter.
When you create these kind of buildings, like these hero journey buildings, it's
Hmm.
about. I mean, you take into account geometry or UVs or
No,
something
I
of
don't.
this
I don't.
kind.
You know, I mean, it's something I'm thinking about actually, because now I'm starting to see the power of stuff like having nice UVs and then using stuff like Substance Painter to
Yeah.
properly texture your assets. It's something I might actually start to get into because same DMP has been changing a lot, and now DMP artists are pretty much CG generalists. And so I think it's something I need to learn if I want to continue to work in the matte painting field and VFX. So I will get to that. But otherwise, no, I never care about geometry, at least when I do concept art, because I have ways to texture my assets that don't involve good UVs.
Yeah, I can
So
understand that.
yeah, I don't care about geometry and UVs otherwise, no.
And have you used ZBrush?
Yeah, well, I use ZBrush a lot. Yeah, I mean, usually to work on anything that I cannot do easily in Maya. Because Maya, even though I personally like it, it's still very old school type of 3D software. You just push polygons around, right? And but sometimes you want to do something more organic, or you want to sculpt something that needs damage and stuff like that. Then I would just export from Maya and work on ZBrush and send it back to Maya. I pretty much always start in Maya with some basic geometry,
Yeah.
and then I just do what I need to do on it in ZBrush, then I send it back to Maya.
And have you tried Keyshot, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I have not used it in years, but I used to use it in 2015 and 16. So it's in Keyshot that I rendered the Capsule Corp, actually.
Oh, okay. Got it.
This was rendered in Keyshot, this as well. So this is also from the same time as the Capsule Corp. It's the same thing. So yeah, and Keyshot is awesome, especially for this kind of stuff. Like product design, like
Yeah.
the preset materials they have is pretty good. Even though this is like 5 years old, the lighting is shit, but I kind of like the rendering of the materials. I think it translates pretty well. So Keyshot is awesome, but it doesn't make sense to use it anymore for what I do, which is a lot of like outdoor environments. So yeah, I don't use it these days.
Okay, that's good, man. A lot of people use that, still use that. Yeah, for character
Yeah, man.
presentation and
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's just that for what I do, I don't really see where it would fit. I think my package works really nicely for the moment. So Maya ZBrush Redshift. I don't really see where I would put Keyshot in that, but it might come at some point where I would need it. As you said, for a character, for example, it's also pretty good, or for a prop.
yeah. I mean, I think that your work in vehicles is so good. Have you tried to work in production for this kind of stuff?
Um,
Like for
yes and
ILM
no.
or NPC, for
Yes and
example?
no. I've never done like a proper vehicle design, but I've had to design vehicles or stuff that were part of a bigger thing. Because when you work, for example, at ILM in the DMP or generalist department,
Yeah.
you sort of do everything. So, and not everything is designed by the concept artist. Far from it. Actually, when you work on a film or anything, uh, VFX artists actually still have to design a lot of stuff. So yeah, I have designed something. Maybe not vehicles, but right now I design a lot of props and mechanism, more ancient kind of things. So not really vehicles, but I design actually right now a lot of functional things. It's all new for me, but it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice, man. What's about? I mean, what's for the future for you? What kind of challenge do you have? Like, have you think about
Yeah,
it? Have you thought about
it's
it?
a good question. I keep thinking about it. As I said, this year is pretty much a year I take to just enjoy the project I'm working on and enjoying a bit of time off on the side, not that much, unfortunately. And I think, the thing is that I don't like to talk about it too much if I don't do it. I'd rather just show it once it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested into, probably making a short film. I'm still working on it. I have one in progress, but I just don't like to talk about it too much while it's not done. That's all. And
That's
this year is definitely not a year that I really take to work on it because I just have too much stuff going on. But whenever I have 5 minutes, I still keep working on it. So I
yeah,
think it
that's
will come
great.
out eventually at some point.
I think that's the magic of personal projects. You don't have a
Yeah.
timeline, so you can do
Yeah.
it in whatever free time you have, and as
Yeah.
long
But
as you keep doing it, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but to be brutally honest with you, I'm sort of in a phase where I don't necessarily know for sure what's going to be the future for me. It kind of annoys me because I feel like, in a way, I'm sort of back at the position I was like before I started to work to get into the industry.
Yeah,
And
the
so I'm
30s.
trying, so now I'm trying to search for that drive again to do something. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be, but, I guess that's life. You always try to adjust your course, and try to see where you're gonna go, and it's not always where you initially intended to go. But that's okay, I guess. I guess this year I sort of give myself a break. Just okay, just don't worry about it too much. Just enjoy life, enjoy the work you're doing because I cannot complain. Right now, work-wise, my career, I think it's going really well. So I think I'm just excited to keep going in that way for a little while and see where it takes me. We'll see.
Yeah, enjoy. I mean, enjoy.
Yeah,
Like a teacher said, relaxed and enjoy. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, why not? After all, as long as I like what I do, and that I keep challenging myself, it's also a nice.
I think we as an artist
Yeah.
sometimes we push ourselves too much, not
Hmm.
not just in terms of work but also in terms of thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to be more productive. We need to be more efficient. We need to do this. We need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
improve
Yeah.
portfolio. I want to work in that place. And that's okay. Blah 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 blah. I haven't done it
Yeah.
in 30 years. So
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
we put a lot of pressure in ourselves, and when we feel like we need to relax and live more, this pressure starts
Yeah. I
to
mean,
goes up.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You don't need to work every day. I mean, it's really easy to be overwhelmed by all those people, promoting like insane working hours. I mean, you gotta work really hard. Obviously, I work pretty much nonstop, but also try to enjoy life. Otherwise, it doesn't. I mean, in my opinion, it's kind of pointless to work if you don't enjoy life.
enjoy
Uh,
Fritz.
yeah, and that's something I'm starting to realize now. Okay, I'm 36. Maybe it's time for me to start enjoying life a little bit because I feel like I've been working nonstop forever, like
Yeah,
denying myself any type of rest I could get, or enjoyable stuff. So yeah,
yeah.
just like buying a new car that is fancy, why not? Why the fuck not?
It's Joe says, in the meantime, you can keep killing it with the amazing imagery.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, last year I didn't do it. I think any of personal work. Actually,
Hmm.
I pay a course and I took the course, but I didn't do the the project that I was supposed to do because I didn't have the
Yeah,
time
that
to.
happened to me too, man. I bought so many tutorials that I haven't followed yet. I'm
Yes,
kind of
it's crazy.
embarrassed about that, but it's a reality. Yeah.
And yeah, and this year I was like, okay, after the event, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to complete some projects. And yeah, that's like
Yeah.
it's like the drive, and I have a lot of projects that I have to do, so it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it's fine as long as I have something to do. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not worry too much. You gotta also learn to live in the present, right?
What do you think about frustration, man? I mean, we all artists
Frustration?
feel frustrated
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, that's kind of the story of my life. No, I mean, I'm sure I deal with the same stuff other artists deal with. That's how it is. Um, yeah, no, I mean, on the flip side, I gotta say, I'm pretty damn lucky. Uh, I mean, I feel like I worked really hard, for the past 6 years. But in a way, it also felt effortless because I was doing exactly what I wanted to do. I cannot
Yeah,
say that I've struggled a lot. It's kind of, people might hate me for saying that, but I don't feel like I've struggled a whole lot. I was just doing what I love to do. I felt it was gonna work, and it sort of worked out, I guess. I mean, I'm not done yet, far from it, but cannot say I've struggled a lot, but maybe it's just a perception of things because I've been broke most of my life. This is the first year when I have finally some good income, and I can enjoy some things. But I've never had like more than I mean, I don't want to say the exact amount, but I've always been pretty much broke. I mean, not homeless, far from it, but I never had any savings my whole life. You know what I mean? I never bought a house. I never bought a car that I actually wanted. So I guess those were the frustrations. Maybe I don't know.
I think those
Yeah.
are frustrations, not for artists, but for people in general.
Yeah.
It
But
happens
when
for
it
me
comes
as
to
well.
art, yeah, when it comes to art, yeah, I'm always constantly frustrated because I feel like I never get what I want to get out of an image. That's, whenever I see like somebody post something on Artista, I'm like, damn, why is it so good and why is my stuff not that good? But then I'm like, yeah, relax, man. You're still working or earning your life doing that is pretty cool as well. Okay. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm in this point too.
yeah,
Like sometimes I don't know if I want to get out of the country to work in a
yeah,
company in house,
yeah,
or maybe
hmm
to try to get into the freelance.
yeah,
It's hard. Maybe I don't know what to do with the events. I don't know if I got
hmm
out, I can keep working on it. So it's like
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of struggles that like working
I
in the
know.
game.
Yeah, I've definitely been through that.
Yeah.
Definitely, like up until probably 2 years ago, I was constantly worrying. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. Maybe I should choose between matte painting and concept art. I don't know, but you know what? In the end, I managed to do both somehow. So yeah, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I
Yeah. Once again, as long as you do what you like to do, I feel like things almost magically worked out at some point. It's weird, but that's how it worked for
It
me.
is. It is, man. One
Yeah.
day I was in the Cyber Summit. I didn't go to
Mm-hmm.
Dreamforce, and
Yeah.
I talked to Alessandro Baldasseroni, that he's like my main inspiration,
Yeah. Yeah. He's
and
really
he
good.
was like, "Don't worry about your job, man. Don't worry. It will
Yeah.
come. Just keep doing what you do because you enjoy it."
Yeah, exactly, and
And I
it's
was
what I
like,
think as well.
"Wow."
If I look back at the past 6 7 years, I mean that's what I did. I just kept on doing what I like to do. I didn't settle for anything I didn't want to do, and I think that's the key. Just stay true to yourself and do work you enjoy doing, and people will like that and will recognize if you're honest about the work. And I think that always pay off in the end.
Yeah. I mean, guys, follow your heart.
Yeah, it's pretty
kind
cliche,
of, kind of it
but
is, eh?
it's kind of always true. Yeah.
Thomas is asking here. Do you do sketches to flesh out an idea or jump straight into 3D? Like
You know,
thumbnails and
I'll,
stuff?
I'll yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't do any sketch these days. I sketch over some images because, when I do matte painting, there's almost always an existing concept, and because it's a VFX task, it doesn't really make sense to really sketch anything because most of the time the composition is always there.
Yeah.
So usually you want to jump into CG and start to create the shot immediately, like put a camera that is moving, see how the shot feels. So it's not really the same kind of process. Now, when doing concept art, even for that, um, at least most of the time, I almost always get some really basic model coming from set design or other depart or from VFX actually.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just more natural to put that into a scene and spend maybe 2 hours in it and see what I can come up with. I just work more like that. My mind functions more in 3D. I like to sketch in 3D, I guess, in ZBrush or whatever. I like to immediately put a light into my scene. And because once again, since I work almost exclusively for TV and film, whatever I do almost always only needs to work for the shot. So that's why I always immediately wants to see how it looks like in context. And I don't know, it works fine with me like that. So I just bash stuff in CG pretty quickly, and then maybe I will sketch something on top of it to convey quickly an idea. But since I work freelance, by the time I need to show that to my production designer,
Yeah.
I almost always have time to actually make a nice image out of it. So I almost never show my sketch I do on top of it. That's how it works for me. But it's different for everybody, I guess. I was scared for a long time to do concept art because I felt like, yeah, I'm not really the guy that sketches a lot. But in the end, I found, a job that needed exactly the type of work that I do, and then it works just nicely.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. I mean, any artists have like different creative process and different artistic process. So
Yeah,
it's really cool and interesting to understand how they think. You know, how they concept the ideas and how they
yeah.
create this kind of great
And I think if
imaginary.
you work as a freelancer, also, you may be more free to use whatever process you want, I think. Because usually people will hire you for whatever you do because they like what they saw on your portfolio. So you don't have that much, don't don't have to commit that much to the process of the company or the studio. You know what I mean? You can sort of do your own thing. So that's what I like about freelance as well.
Yeah, it says here we have Joe Jacobs asking, any plans or have you already ventured into Houdini? Seeing that atmospheric,
Um,
organic
yeah,
gear are so present
Houdini, for
in
example,
images.
is a software I know I need to get into if I want to continue working VFX.
Okay,
So I think I will learn it for sure.
okay,
Um,
give it a
Maybe not
try.
this year because this year is only about for me concept design. That's all I do at the moment. I don't really have time for anything else. But once I'm done with this current project, I might jump into Houdini next year because it sounds very exciting. So I cannot wait to try it.
Yeah, Houdini is crazy. I mean, I have been doing some kind of films, and a friend of
Hmm.
mine is helping me with the effects in Houdini, and it's crazy what you can do there, and also
Yeah,
the
and
rendering.
there's no doubt I'm gonna learn it. I just need to find some time. And yeah, it's just another toy to play with. That's how I see those softwares. That's how you should see it.
Yeah, I
It's just a
mean,
tool. So
sometimes
it's
it's
pretty
too much.
exciting.
You have
Yeah.
a lot of software out there that you want to learn that you don't have the time to do it. For example, Cbrus 2021 is crazy. I mean, I want to
Hmm.
learn it, but oh damn it,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah,
to dedicate one
I'm,
day to do it. Like,
yeah, I always feel like, okay, I can spend like 1 month learning, this new software that just came out, or I can spend 1 month becoming a better artist.
exactly.
So there's always a balance to find. It's not that easy,
Yeah.
but it's always exciting to learn a new software. I personally love it. It's just a matter of finding time.
I mean, sometimes I prefer to learn like on the way, creating a
Yeah,
project. For example, I need to do something about clothes, and maybe I
yeah,
can get into the dynamic stuff of ZBrush and learn it, and then apply it to the project. I think it's like more
hmm,
efficient in that way. Like,
yeah,
keep learning
yeah,
while
exactly.
you keep working on your stuff, on your craft.
Yeah, that's how it works for me as well. Usually, when I learn a new tool, it's very often because I need it for a specific project. Yeah.
Yeah. Lian, sorry, Lisa. She's asking, there's a prevailing myth of the individual and lone artist. What's been supportive for your creativity? How do you
Uh,
collaborate?
can you repeat that? Sorry, there was a car passing. I didn't hear it.
Don't worry. There's the prevailing myth that individual and lone artist. What's been supportive for your creativity, and how do you collaborate? It's kind of a
How do I
tricky one.
collab? Yeah, how do
Yeah.
I collaborate? That's what you're asking.
What's been supportive for your creativity, and how do you
Supportive for
collaborate?
my supportive for my creativity.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I don't understand too much. It says there's a prevailing myth of the individual and lone artist. What's been
Hmm.
supportive for your creativity? I mean, what helps you to be creative, maybe, and how do you collaborate?
Hmm.
I don't know if Lisa can please uh, break up the question again, please.
Yeah, I don't really know what to answer. I don't have really a problem with collaborating anyway. I don't know. It's always. No, it's not entirely true. 'Cause I've always been like a lone wolf. So it's true that it wasn't that easy at first to start working in teams. Everything went well, but I sort of had to learn to communicate more with people. But now it goes really well. It's just a skill I need to learn a bit more.
But
But it always goes really.
it's crazy, and it's that all of artists start like that. We all start like being lonely and doing our stuff in our house, and
Yeah.
being like super into it. And sometimes it's hard to find some people that do the same as you do. So it's hard engage with them, and you don't go
Yeah.
out with them because they're not doing art. So it's hard to get into that situation of into being social. But I think it's so important because when I was in Trojan Horse, I learned that there was so much industry out there than just being me. For example, when I started, it was me, just me. I didn't know what the industry was. I didn't know what concept art was. I didn't know anything about it. And when I was in Trojan Horse, I understood that there are a lot of people out there that are pursuing the same dream, and that we are not alone. And it was so fun when we go there to a bar and just people start drawing. I felt so good. And when I came here, I started to create this community, and I started to do some sketch and pop. And so I invite people to go to a bar, and we just talk and draw. And I give some tips and some exercises to sketch. And it's crazy because being alone, I mean, it's important, but also being in a part of a community is great, So
yeah, it's great for sure. No, it's really important. Even though I like being alone, as far as I'm concerned, always been like that. But I still need some kind of social life. That's also why I really enjoy working actually in studio as well. Just for the people, It also helped having like a nice work-life balance. It's more difficult to have when you work freelance, I think, at least for me. Yeah.
I mean, when I meet you, and when I saw you back then in Trojan Horse last year, I can see that like you're more like a lonely wolf. You say that like.
Yeah, lone wolf. I guess
exactly.
I've always been like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay, man. I mean, it's just part of who we are.
I mean, to some extent, I still need people, obviously, absolutely. But I'm the type of guy who like to spend like a Saturday evening alone with my dog watching Netflix.
Yeah,
I don't have any problem with that,
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Lisa asked again. So she says, creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum, but there's a prevailing myth of working in isolation.
Yeah, is that a question?
I think that's a comment. Maybe it's close to what we were talking about, like working in isolation.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, everybody has its own way of working anyway, depends, I guess.
It depends.
Yeah.
How can we find your tutorial? How can we find your course? So
you just go to learnsquare.com, I don't have the exact address here, but yeah, you just go to a Learn Square course and then you will find it, I think. It's called 3D matte painting here, as you can see.
Yeah.
So yeah, just go to the Learn Square website and you will find it. Have
you ever think about teaching, like being a teacher in a
that's
an academy or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just not my thing, I think, I don't know. I think it's just not, I mean, I really enjoy, giving back as much as I can. I don't always have time to do it, but when people ask me for a review or advice, I'm always more than happy to help out,
Yeah.
But teaching is probably not something I really want to do at this point. I don't know. It's just, I don't really have a drive for that, I guess, I just like to create art. Teaching is something completely different, I think. Some people have that, this thing for like helping people, teaching them. But I'm not a teacher. I know it. It's just not my thing. Cannot really explain it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I became a teacher last year. Suddenly something happened, and now I'm teaching art in a university here in Colombia. And it's been so good because I really like to teach people. I really like to teach them what I have learned.
Yeah.
And it's so good because it gives you the time to understand and to relearn the fundamentals,
That's also true, because I actually used to teach. Sorry, there's a motorcycle passing outside. It's making a shit ton of noise. Jesus. I live near a famous racetrack. So I have like sports car and motorcycles passing by my house every day, all the time, and it makes so much noise. Anyway, I
Inspiration.
used to, yeah, I used to teach, how to play drums, and I remember how much it actually taught me. Know?
Exactly, exactly.
All stuff I thought I knew, but actually I didn't know it that well. So I felt like I was learning as much as the students. It was fun.
It's so good, man. And
Yeah,
sometimes you realize that you know a lot of shit, man. I mean, it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
fuck. Sometimes we think that we don't know anything, but if you start
Hmm.
teaching, you know that you know a lot of stuff. You know, perspective,
Yeah.
color, light, composition, and
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
anatomy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
blah blah blah. And yeah, no, it's a lot of concepts in there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Joe Jacobs is asking, perhaps is your next chapter gonna be your featuring? No, you touring with your band. Come full circle.
I don't know, man. In a way, it would be coming full circle to finally, get back on the road with the band and, yeah, do some
That's a good one.
concerts.
That's a
I
good one.
cannot. I don't know if it's gonna happen. We're still working on some music whenever we have time. I think it will come out at some point.
That's
But
a good
it's
man.
really,
Just
it's
let us
very
know.
tricky.
Just let us
Yeah,
know, and we can have a live of you giving
yeah,
us some music. You know
yeah. That
that
would
would
be
be
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
We can
Hmm.
create
Yeah, yeah,
a online concert, online CG concert.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to thank you also as well because I don't know if you remember this, but like 2 years ago you helped me being the jury for
Yeah, I
a
remember that.
design
Yeah.
challenge that I did. Like
Hmm.
the first steps to start creating some community here in Colombia, and I think that's so fine and so
Hmm.
needed here. We need this kind of uh, challenge that join us all and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
help us expose ourselves, to the world and to the industry. And I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah, yeah.
thank you because you helped me a
Oh,
lot
it's
with this kind of
my
projects.
pleasure, man. It's definitely my pleasure. That's the least I can do.
No, that's great, man. That's great. And this year we're going again with this challenge. So if you want to help us as well, so invited there to be the jury of
Yeah,
the design challenge 2020.
yeah,
And
sure.
last year we did the challenge, and the first, no, first, second, third prize was like being in the Crad Art Fest in our event.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
people were so happy we did it because the event was great and we had a lot of people there teaching and a lot of artists.
yeah, yeah,
So for
yeah.
the next year is going to be the same. We are going to have like the main prize is going to be uh, the ticket for the Crowd Art Fest 2021. So it's really
Awesome.
exciting for me how
Sounds
this
good.
is going to like be evolving and growing.
Sounds good, man.
So
Awesome. Freaking awesome.
yeah, I mean it's been a ride with this event. It's so hard
Hmm.
because it's like a one person band sometimes.
Like, that's a huge task to organize that, especially as one person. Yeah, I know.
It's a lot of stuff to manage there.
For
But
sure.
well, thank you very much, Steven, for being with us. It's been like so great time.
Well,
I'm
thanks to
sure
you. My pleasure, man. Thanks
I'm
for
sure
having me.
you're going to go now to do some stuff now. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much. I know it's been hard because it's been like almost 2 hours, and we're like
Oh, that's fine.
we haven't kept talking, but we need a beer
Yeah, yeah,
to keep doing it.
yeah. Yeah, hopefully we'll see each other again at some event when this virus thing calms down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Fingers crossed.
maybe I have a last question for you. Like,
Yeah,
do you enjoy being speaker? I know you were speaker in the IFCC 1 year. I don't
yeah.
know if
You
you like
know,
it. Like, how do you think about it?
that's
What do you
that's
think?
actually a really tricky question, because I don't know if I like it, to be honest. My I'm more the type of guy who likes to sit back and listen than be on the spotlight. And it's
Okay.
something I understood actually later, because still a few years ago I was still very much, trying to sort of get known in the industry. I was sort of chasing that a little bit, but now actually I really don't want that actually. I just want to do what I like to do, but I really don't care about having me being in the spotlight as a person, you know?
I understand, yeah.
My work, yes. Now, being a speaker is different. Obviously, it's more about teaching people, you know, or just giving them inspiration, some stuff like that, you know. I wouldn't say I enjoy it because I'm kind of shy and socially awkward, but but you know, I never say no. You know, if I can do it, I do it. You know, and it's always a great experience, you know, to hear from people and be able to give back. That's the best answer I could give, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Well, man, now thank you very much for being here with us. We enjoy it a lot. We say
thank you very much, man.
I can see here Lisa, Joe, Santana, Thomas, Gabriel, Carlos. Well, a lot of people are saying thank you very much, Steven. Awesome. And I think it was a really great time.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Again, thank you very much. Thank you very much for helping me with these kind of challenges and these kind of crowd lives. So anytime, if you want to came back and you want to talk a little bit with us, just let me know, and I will be really happy to have you here.
Absolutely.
Next week, for you and for all of us, all of the person here, we are going to have Rafa Ter. I don't know if you remember him, Rafael Teruel. He was in the Trojan Horse as well.
Yeah.
And he's going to give us a live demo of illustration next Saturday.
Awesome.
So it's awesome. And for the 30th of August, we are going to have Daniel Bell. He's like one of the best sculptors in the world, I guess. So it's going to be so good. And yeah, in September we're going to have like a friend of mine that works in digital domain.
Cool.
So yeah, it's going to be so good. So I invite you, if you want to say hi one day in these crowd lives, just, you know,
all right,
jump in and we're going to say hi, Steven. How are you, man? Yeah.
Sure, man.
And I need to learn French so we can do it one day in French.
Yeah, I need to learn Spanish as well.
And Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy, you know. For the two of us, it's easy.
Yeah, no, I used to learn it at school, but you know, if you don't practice, you still completely forget it, you know.
Yeah. For all of the people that out there enjoy, I hope you enjoy this talk. Follow us in Sesiones Crad. Síganos en Sesiones Crad in Instagram. You know, we're going to give some advices and feedback and videos and some crowd life with great artists. And we're going to have some, podcast. I already started some podcast, so just go there to the YouTube channel and you can find them. They're in Spanish, but I think it's a great time to learn some stuff, you know, about life, about how we manage frustration, how we manage, for example, how to say this in English, I don't know. Well, estancamiento. I don't know if you know how to do it. Yeah, so just go there and look at it. Follow us, please, in Instagram and in YouTube. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much, Steven, again.
Thanks to you.
And we're done now. Thank you, all of you guys. Thank you very much for being with us now.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, man, it's finished now.